Hi guys, today's Leetcode daily is count and say. This question has been asked in Facebook, Google, Amazon, Apple, Adobe, Walmart, Global Tech, and so on. So in this, we are given a recursive formula for count and say, where count and say of 1 is 1 and count and say of n is the run length encoding of count and say of n minus 1. Now run length encoding is string compression method in which we replace consecutive identical characters with the count of the character and that character. For example, if we want to find RLE for this string, then it will be 2 times 3, 3 times 2, 1 time 5 and 1 time 1. So the final compressed string becomes this one. Now we are given a positive integer n. We have to find count and say sequence for this n. We'll see example for better understanding of this question. Now we have to find count and say for n equal to 4. So it is already given that count and say of 1 is 1. Now if we want to find the count and say of 2, then first we have to find count and RLE for count and say of 1, which is equal to 1 1. Then for finding count and say for 3, we have to find RLE for count and say of 2, which is 2 1. To find count and say of 4, we have to find RLE of count and say of 3, which is 1 2 and 1 1. So we'll return 1 2 1 1 as our output. Now we'll see approach. Count and say for n will give answer for n, and count and say for n minus 1 will give answer for n minus 1. So we'll first find count and say for n minus 1, and then we'll find RLE on it. In this way we will get count and say for n and we'll return our answer. Now we'll see code for better understanding of this approach. Count and say for n will give us answer string for n, and count and say for n minus 1 will give us answer string for n minus 1. Now from answer string of n minus 1, we'll perform RLE and get answer string for n. So simply we'll traverse in S, and if S of I is equal to S of I minus 1, that means we have same character, so we'll increase the count of that character by 1. If it is not equal, then in our answer string we'll add the count of the previous character and also add that character, and from next iteration onwards we'll calculate the count from this character, so we'll do count equal to 1. When the loop is over, then the last element of the string will not be processed in this loop, so we'll add the count of the last character, as well as we'll also add that last character in our answer, and afterwards return our answer. Now, if we talk about time complexity, then there will be n function calls, and in each function call, this string is growing exponentially, like by 2. So overall time complexity will be we go of 2 to power n plus 1 plus n. If we talk about space complexity, then there will be n like recursion calls, stack calls. Also, string also grows exponentially every time by 2. So space complexity will also be equal to 2 to power n plus n. If you have understood this question, then please like, share and comment on this video and subscribe my channel for more such videos. Thank you.